Culture Club is brought to you by Tropical Ice.
Manet nun hit gwini pagu. Hafaday inanu si Jeremy Cepeda. From a very young age, I've always been interested in CHamoru language, and I was raised primarily with my mother's side, my maternal side, and my family, but most especially my grandparents there, and most especially my grandmother was the one that would sit me down in her lap when we're doing the family novena, and she would point the words out to me and have me read aloud along with the tetsa and the rest of the family. It wasn't until I was about 13 years old, I would say, and my grandmother had her first stroke, and she was lamenting to me one day that she's sad that none of her grandchildren speak CHamoru. And so I was like, Grandma, I can learn CHamoru, you know? And so from that moment on is when I started taking the CHamoru learning seriously. Like the first song I ever composed, the tune came to me after a prayer. There were tunes I was playing around with, but nothing quite definitive enough that, you know, I liked. And so it wasn't until I prayed about it. That's when, you know, imagine, if you will, right? Some big vibration and sound above my head, and then all of a sudden, it met up and the tune went in my head, and then that's the tune that came out. From things like that, I like to think that that's divine inspiration, you know? You know, I guess one would say the passion or the drive to do so. And inclusive of the passion and the drive, you have to have your reasons why you want to do it, right? That's what drives what is the drive, right? What is the passion? What moves you to do it? Why are you doing it? It's already apparent, right, that there's not that many young fluent CHamoru speakers anymore. We need to change that. And, you know, and one of the ways I think we can do that is to look at our language not as some historical document that we put on a shelf or something that we just put on ourselves like that. We need to make it a living language, right? So historical stuff and everything, but also have room to learn the language well enough so we can innovate and create. And to the Manamko, to them, I've heard some of them say that what's the excuse? There's no excuse anymore. Because we today we're not punished or ridiculed or made to pay a fine like they were growing up. You know, they were the ones that experienced the actual physical punishment and the pressure from the government not to speak CHamoru, but we're not. So you see, you have two ends of the spectrum. The young ones saying they didn't learn because no one taught them, and the old people saying that there's no excuse. We have to figure out what is the problem there in between, to bridge that gap and fix it so that no one side is against the other. We can figure out a way to help one another better. Hafaday tatlu inaanhu si Jeremy Cepeda da sumen maguzo na sumanazu gwini na programa I KUAM Care Force. Tatati.
Culture Club is brought to you by Tropical Ice.